In this episode of Talking About Orks, we're going to be going over Burna boyz. Burna boyz really haven't changed a whole lot. They are still just orc boys equipped with a flamer, or Burna, which is a little bit different than a flamer. So it has two modes in shooting and melee, just like always. The difference between this Burna and a regular flamer is only D3 hits instead of D6. But for that, you get to exchange out for the melee profile, which is -2 AP and 1 damage. So it's not too bad in melee, with 2 base attacks there on the Burna boyz. Then you can also, of course, swap out Burna boyz for they call them spanners here, but it's just basically a mech with a slugger and choppa, and you can replace the choppa with a kill saw, or give them souped up weapons, which are the combi weapons, rocket and big shooter. Probably wouldn't want to do that. Let's see. Here we go, of course, mob roll mechanic. The spanner can repair a vehicle for 1 wound. Pyromaniacs. If this unit destroys an enemy unit in the shooting phase, it automatically passes morale tests until the start of your next turn. So there's a lot of upsides and downsides with Burna boyz. The biggest downside is their range is 8 inches. Which means they are basically useless with the jump, which would be their best tool to get into range. You have to be 9 inches away, of course, and Burnas only have an 8-inch range, as do most flamers. Obviously, that was quite intentional on GW's part. So you can't jump them, and transports are very shaky in this edition. So Burna boyz have very much fallen out of favor, and it's not the fault of the Burna boyz. It is the fault of the rules of the game, basically. Transports are difficult. Trucks are not as fast as they once were, so getting them into range is going to be a lot more difficult than it once was, because you're still only looking at, you know, a truck is 12 inches. So you got, 15-inch average on one turn, and that's not going to get you in range for the most of the time. So that's what, +8, because they can still shoot out of the truck after advancing, because they are assault weapons, fortunately. So so that is a average of 15 plus 8-inch range. So 23-inch threat range on average, up to 20. So So 24 to 28-inch threat range. 24 to 29-inch threat range with a truck. And a smart deployment smart opponent will, of course, stay out of that on that first turn. That is viable. I mean, sounds like a pretty good threat range, but it's only going to be once, because the trucks, again, don't have a lot of resiliency. I think they're more resilient than they were in the previous editions. From my experience, but they are, of course, nowhere near as fast. So, in the battle wagons, going to have the same problem. A lot more resilient, but you can't add the ARD case to give them the open top, to maintain the open topped. So, basically, transports are not as good as they were, and that hurts the Burna boyz a lot. So, I don't think the Burna boyz are the problem. Burna boyz are excellent. They're only 14 points a model for that awesome weapon. It's just awesome, pure and simple. The Burna is great. The range, of course, is the same as their other flamers, but it does limit their usefulness with the jump. And again, so basically, the takeaway from this is that Burnas are not as playable as I would like them to be, and it's not their fault. It's too bad, because in this edition the flamers are, of course, are excellent. If you're playing against flyers, then a whole unit of Burnas would be great, because the flamers, of course, are the ultimate anti-flyer weapon. And with 10 Burnas, you're talking 10 times D3 hits. Of course, you are going to be winning on 5s on average, but it's at least you're going to be being able to take a flyer down a notch in there, especially in the BS, is really going to help a lot. So I think that's really all I got to say about Burners. There's not a whole lot of options. There's not a whole lot you can do with them. They are a great unit. There's no doubt about that, but they're just hampered by the rules of the game. They need something to be viable, and that something, of course, is just faster transports. If the trucks had that 24-inch first turn move or something similar to that they used to have, then Burna boyz would definitely be very, very good in this edition. But with the slow transports and the disembarking rules and all that, Burna boyz are just not as playable as I want them to be. So, any comments about Burna boyz? Have you tried them out in this edition? Have you taken down any flyers with them? Let me know below. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking About Orks. Please subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications for new Talking About Orks videos every Wednesday, new battle reports every Friday, and hobby videos whenever I can. Thanks for watching.